1. The Iron Claw, 2023. The Iron Claw is a 2023 biographical sports drama film written and directed by Sean Durkin about the Von Erichs, a family of professional wrestlers who are cursed by tragedy. The film depicts the struggles of wrestling company owner Fritz Von Erich's sons to achieve the success for which their father groomed them, from 1979 to the early 1990s. The Iron Claw premiered at the Texas Theater in Dallas on November 8, 2023. It was released in the United States by A24 on December 22, 2023, and by Lionsgate in the United Kingdom on February 9, 2024. It grossed over $45 million, on a $15.9 million budget, and received positive reviews, with Efron's performance receiving critical acclaim from critics and deeming it the best of his career. It was named one of the top 10 films of 2023 by the National Board of Review. The Von Erich family is an American professional wrestling family. Originally from Texas, their actual surname is Adkisson, but every member who has been in the wrestling business has used the ring name Von Erich after the family patriarch, Fritz Von Erich, Jack Adkisson. Jack took on the name as part of his wrestling gimmick, i.e. in-ring persona, as he originally portrayed a Nazi heel, hence his use of a German name. By the time Fritz died of cancer in his Denton County home in 1997 at age 68, 5 of his 6 sons had predeceased him, 3 by suicide. His firstborn, Jack Barton Jr. was accidentally electrocuted by a downed power line and drowned in a puddle at age 6 in 1959 outside his Niagara Falls home. In 1984, David Von Erich died in a Tokyo hotel from enteritis at age 25. Mike, Chris, and Carrie all died by suicide. Mike took an overdose of Placido near Louisville Lake in 1987 at age 23. Chris shot himself in the head with a 9mm handgun in 1991 at age 21, and Carrie shot himself in the chest in a family yard in 1993 at age 33. Kevin Von Erich is the last surviving son. These deaths are the main basis for a widespread myth about a family curse. The term Von Erich curse is also used colloquially to refer to the chain of events leading to each brother's death, as well as associated tragedies, such as the death of David Von Erich's 2-month-old daughter of SIDS in 1978. The story of the Von Erich family has been presented as a cautionary tale about parental influence and the various dangers of the professional wrestling business. The Von Erichs' involvement in wrestling has continued to a third generation. Kevin's sons Marshall and Ross began wrestling in 2012, and Carrie's daughter Lacey wrestled from 2007 until her retirement in 2010. Second generation, Jack Adkisson Jr. Fritz Von Erich's first son was born Jack Barton Adkisson Jr. on September 21, 1952. He died at age 6 in Niagara Falls, New York, on March 7, 1959, after he stepped on a trailer tongue, was electrically shocked, and then fell into a melting snow puddle face first and drowned. Kevin Von Erich, born Kevin Ross Adkisson on May 15, 1957 in Belleville, Illinois, the Golden Warrior. Kevin Von Erich is the second oldest and last surviving son of Fritz Von Erich. David Von Erich, the Yellow Rose of Texas. David Von Erich was the third son of Fritz Von Erich. He was born David Allen Adkisson on July 22, 1958, in Dallas, Texas. From late 1981 to mid-1982, David wrestled in the Florida territory to show that he could work as a heel. David died on February 10, 1984, in Tokyo, Japan. The U.S. Embassy's death report says he died of acute enteritis. Carrie Von Erich was the fourth son of Fritz Von Erich. He was born Carrie Jean Adkisson on February 3, 1960 in Niagara Falls, New York. Known as the modern-day warrior and the Texas tornado, Carrie was by far the best known of the Von Erich family. Mike Von Erich. Mike Von Erich was the fifth son of Fritz Von Erich. He was born Michael Brett Adkisson on March 2, 1964, in Dallas, Texas, and was later known as the Inspirational Warrior. Mike replaced David in the feud the Von Erichs had with the Fabulous Freebirds following David's death. According to the DVD Heroes of World Class, Mike wanted to work for World Class as a cameraman and had no interest in being in the ring full-time. Chris Von Erich, born Chris Barton Adkisson on September 30, 1969 in Dallas, Texas. Chris Von Erich was the youngest of the Von Erich family. With his short stature, 5 feet 5 inches, asthma and extremely brittle bones, which were prone to breaking, Chris was never able to achieve the success that his father and brothers achieved. Ross Von Erich, David Michael Ross Adkisson, born June 1, 1988, better known as Ross Von Erich, is the son of Kevin Von Erich. He is named after David and Mike. He was trained by Kevin, Harley Race and the Pro Wrestling Noah Dojo. Marshall Von Erich, Kevin Marshall Adkisson, born November 10, 1992, better known as Marshall Von Erich, is the son of Kevin Von Erich. He is named after his father. He was trained by Kevin Harley Race and at the Noah Dojo. He debuted in 2012 with his brother Ross in Pro Wrestling Noah. He adapted his father's trademark of wrestling barefoot. Lacey Von Erich, Lacey Dawn Adkisson, born July 17, 1986, better known as Lacey Von Erich, is the daughter of Carrie Von Erich. She was previously with World Wrestling Entertainment and Total Nonstop Action, TNA, where she was a former TNA Knockouts Tag Team Champion. She retired in 2010. 2. The Kerala Story, 2023. The Kerala Story is a 2023 Indian Hindi-language drama film directed by Sudipto Senator. The plot follows a group of women from Kerala who are coerced into converting to Islam and joining the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, ISIS. Marketed as a true story, the film is premised on the Hindutva conspiracy theory of love jihad, and falsely claims that thousands of Hindu women from Kerala have been converted to Islam and recruited in the Islamic State. The Kerala Story released in theaters on May 5, 2023. With a worldwide gross of 303.97 Indian rupees crore, $36 million, it became the 9th highest grossing Hindi film of 2023. It was heavily promoted by the incumbent Bharatiya Janata Party, BJP, which leveraged the film in its campaigning for the Karnataka Assembly election. However, film critics accorded it overwhelmingly negative reviews, characterizing the work as Islamophobic propaganda. The film has also faced protracted litigation and protests, primarily in Kerala, West Bengal and Tamil Nadu. On its opening day, the film grossed 8.03 Indian rupees crore in India, making it the 5th highest opener in India for 2023. As of June 15, 2023, the film has grossed 288.04 Indian rupees crore, $35 million in India and 15.64 Indian rupees crore, $1.9 million overseas for a worldwide gross collection of 303.97 Indian rupees crore, $36 million, becoming the 7th highest grossing Hindi film of 2023. The film performed well in northern India but underperformed in the south. Premise and factual accuracy. The teaser released on November 3, 2022, featuring the character of Fatima Ba, a Hindu Malayali nurse who had converted to Islam and joined the Islamic State, before ending up in an Afghan jail. She claimed to be one of 32,000 girls from the Hindu and Christian communities, who are missing from Kerala and have been recruited into the Islamic State after being converted to Islam. Sen, the director of the film, has made such claims for years. In 2018 he had directed a documentary on what he claimed to be the involuntary mass conversion of 32,000 Hindu and Christian girls to Islam as part of an international conspiracy to render Kerala an Islamic state. While the events portrayed in the film are loosely based on the accounts of 3 women from Kerala, namely, Nimisha Nair, Sonia Sebastian, and Marin Jacob, who converted to Islam and traveled with their respective husbands to Afghanistan to join the Islamic State between 2016 and 2018, the claimed figures in the film are wildly inaccurate, being based on mistranslations, misquotes, and misrepresentations of unrelated statistics. No more than 100 to 200 Indians have joined the group from the entire country, with people from Kerala accounting for less than a quarter of them. The figures posited in the film also exceed the entire strength of the Islamic State. Later, in response to litigation, the filmmakers removed all promotional materials, including the teaser, that had the erroneous figure. However, the film repeated the claims multiple times and once raised it even higher to 50,000. In response to further litigation, Sen admitted to all figures in the film being inauthentic, and that the film was a fictionalized portrayal of real-life events. Bans and litigation. On the eve of release, several petitions were filed at the Madras High Court, Kerala High Court and the Supreme Court of India, calling for a ban on grounds of promoting communal disharmony. The petitions were either declined to be heard or dismissed by the courts. However, the filmmakers were asked to remove all promotional materials, including the teaser, that claimed 32,000 girls to have converted to Islam and joined the Islamic State in real life. On May 8, the government of West Bengal banned the movie, characterizing the film as hate speech and citing adverse intelligence reports that had reported increased communal tensions in the audience. The filmmakers challenged the decision in the Supreme Court and the ban was stayed. 3. Oppenheimer, 2023. Oppenheimer is a 2023 epic biographical thriller drama film written, directed and produced by Christopher Nolan. It follows the life of J. Robert Oppenheimer, the American theoretical physicist who helped develop the first nuclear weapons during World War II. Based on the 2005 biography American Prometheus by Kai Bird and Martin J. Sherwin, the film chronicles Oppenheimer's studies, his direction of the Los Alamos Laboratory and his 1954 security hearing. Oppenheimer was announced in September 2021. It is Nolan's first film not distributed by Warner Bros. Pictures since Memento, 2000, due to his conflicts regarding the studio's simultaneous theatrical and HBO Max release schedule. Murphy was the first cast member to sign on the following month, with the rest joining between November 2021 and April 2022. Pre-production began by January 2022. The cinematographer Hoyt van Hoytema used a combination of IMAX 65mm and 65mm large format film, including for the first time, scenes in IMAX black and white film photography. As with many of his previous films, Nolan used extensive practical effects, with minimal compositing. Oppenheimer premiered at Le Grand Rex in Paris on July 11, 2023, and was theatrically released in the United States and the United Kingdom 10 days later by Universal Pictures. Its concurrent release with Warner Bros.' Barbie was the catalyst of the Barbenheimer phenomenon, encouraging audiences to see both films as a double feature. Oppenheimer grossed over $976 million worldwide, becoming the third highest grossing film of 2023, the highest grossing World War II-related film, the highest grossing biographical film, and the second highest grossing R-rated film. J. Robert Oppenheimer, born Julius Robert Oppenheimer, April 22, 1904 to February 18, 1967, was an American theoretical physicist who served as the director of the Manhattan Project's Los Alamos Laboratory during World War II. He is often called the father of the atomic bomb for his role in overseeing the development of the first nuclear weapons. Born in New York City, Oppenheimer obtained a degree in chemistry from Harvard University in 1925 and a doctorate in physics from the University of Göttingen in Germany in 1927, studying under Max Born. After research at other institutions, he joined the physics faculty at the University of California, Berkeley, where he was made a full professor in 1936. Oppenheimer made significant contributions to physics in the fields of quantum mechanics and nuclear physics, including the Born-Oppenheimer approximation for molecular wave functions, work on the theory of positrons, quantum electrodynamics, and quantum field theory, and the Oppenheimer-Phillips process in nuclear fusion. With his students, he also made major contributions to astrophysics, including the theory of cosmic ray showers and the theory of neutron stars and black holes. In 1942, Oppenheimer was recruited to work on the Manhattan Project, and in 1943 was appointed director of the project's Los Alamos Laboratory in New Mexico, tasked with developing the first nuclear weapons. His leadership and scientific expertise were instrumental in the project's success. On July 16, 1945, he was present at the first test of the atomic bomb, Trinity. In August 1945, the weapons were used against Japan in the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, to date the only use of nuclear weapons in an armed conflict. In 1947, Oppenheimer was appointed director of the Institute for Advanced Study in Princeton, New Jersey, and chairman of the General Advisory Committee of the new United States Atomic Energy Commission, AEC. He lobbied for international control of nuclear power to avert nuclear proliferation and a nuclear arms race with the Soviet Union, and opposed the development of the hydrogen bomb, partly on ethical grounds. During the Second Red Scare, these stances, together with his past associations with the Communist Party USA, led to an AEC security hearing in 1954 and the revocation of his security clearance. He continued to lecture, write, and work in physics, and in 1963 was given the Enrico Fermi Award as a gesture of political rehabilitation. In 2022, the U.S. federal government vacated the 1954 revocation of his security clearance. A chain smoker, Oppenheimer was diagnosed with throat cancer in late 1965. After inconclusive surgery, he underwent unsuccessful radiation treatment and chemotherapy late in 1966. On February 18, 1967, he died in his sleep at his home in Princeton, aged 62 years. Heike Kamerling Honest Laboratory in Leiden, Netherlands, July 1927. Oppenheimer is in the middle row, second from the left. Leslie Groves, military head of the Manhattan Project with Oppenheimer in 1942. University of California Radiation Laboratory staff, including Robert R. Wilson and Nobel Prize winners Ernest Lawrence, Edwin McMillan, and Luis Alvarez, on the magnet yoke for the 60-inch, 152 centimeters, cyclotron 1938. Oppenheimer is the tall figure holding a pipe in the top row, just right of center. The Trinity test was the first detonation of a nuclear device. Oppenheimer and Groves at the remains of the Trinity test tower. Oppenheimer and Albert Einstein had been colleagues and shared a cordial relationship with each other. 1950. The GAC in 1947, Oppenheimer is second from the left. The 1946 Los Alamos Colloquium on the Super. In the front row are Norris Bradbury, John Manley, Enrico Fermi, and J.M.B. Kellogg. Behind Manley is Oppenheimer, wearing jacket and tie. President Dwight D. Eisenhower receives a report from Lewis L. Strauss, chairman of the Atomic Energy Commission, on the Operation Castle hydrogen bomb tests in the Pacific, March 3, 1954. Oppenheimer's former colleague, Edward Teller, testified against Oppenheimer at his security hearing in 1954. In April 1958, Oppenheimer spoke at the inauguration of the Nuclear Physics Institute in the Weizmann Institute of Science, Israel. For A Million Miles Away, 2023, A Million Miles Away is a 2023 American biographical drama film detailing the life of Jose M. Hernandez, a Mexican-American astronaut who is played by Michael Pena. It was directed by Alejandro Marquez Abella from a screenplay written by Bettina Gillois and rewritten by Hernan Jimenez and Abella, based on Hernandez's autobiography Reaching for the Stars. The film was released on Amazon Prime Video on September 15, 2023. The New York Times wrote that the film was beautifully shot and interspersed with historical footage of migrant workers and spacecraft launches, stating that its most effective and touching scenes revolve around the family relationships, while also noting that the grit narrative at times becomes a bit heavy-handed. José Moreno Hernández, born August 7, 1962, is a Mexican-American engineer and former NASA astronaut. He currently serves as a regent of the University of California. Hernández was assigned to the crew of Space Shuttle mission STS-128. He also served as chief of the Materials and Processes branch of Johnson Space Center. Hernández was born in French Camp, California. Hernández worked from 1990 to 2001 at Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory in Livermore, California. While there, Hernández, along with a commercial colleague, developed the first full-field digital mammography imaging system. This invention aids in the early detection of breast cancer. In 2001, Hernández joined the Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas. After 3 years and being turned down 11 times for astronaut training by NASA, Hernández was selected in May 2004. In February 2006, he completed astronaut candidate training. In May 2007, Hernández served as an aquanaut during the Nemo 12 mission aboard the Aquarius underwater laboratory, living and working underwater for 11 days. Hernández worked various technical assignments until his selection on July 15, 2008 as a mission specialist on the STS-128 mission, which launched on August 28, 2009. While in orbit, Hernández became the first person to use the Spanish language in space while tweeting. The STS-128 mission ended its 13-day journey on September 11, 2009, Edwards Air Force Base, California, at 5:53 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. In October 2011, Hernández, at the urging of President Barack Obama, ran for Congress as a Democrat in California's newly redrawn 10th Congressional District in the U.S. House of Representatives. He won the Democratic nomination, but lost the 2012 general election to freshman Representative Jeff Denham. 5. A Small Light, 2023, biographical drama miniseries telling the story of Miep Gies and how she helped her Jewish employer Otto Frank, his family and other Jewish refugees go into hiding during World War II after the German invasion of the Netherlands. It premiered on National Geographic on May 1, 2023. The miniseries became available to stream on Disney Plus and Hulu the following day. It received widespread critical acclaim. Received Gotham Awards for Breakthrough Television over 40 Minutes, ASTA TV Awards Best Broadcast Network or Cable Limited or Anthology Series, Best Supporting Actor, Best Directing. Hermine Miep Gies, February 15, 1909 to 11 January 2010, was one of the Dutch citizens who hid in Frank, her family, Otto Frank, Margot Frank, Edith Frank, and 4 other Dutch Jews, Fritz Pfeffer, Herman van Pels, Auguste van Pels, Peter van Pels, from the Nazis in an annex above Otto Frank's business premises during World War II. She was Austrian by birth, but in 1920 at the age of 11, she was taken in as a foster child by a Dutch family in Leiden to whom she became very attached. Although she was only supposed to stay for 6 months, this stay was extended to 1 year because of frail health, after which Gies chose to remain with them, living the rest of her life in the Netherlands. She said, "Over 2 million Holland people had helped Jewish people in the Second World War. I am just doing what I can to help." In 1933, Gies began working for Otto Frank, a Jewish businessman who had moved with his family from Germany to the Netherlands in the hope of sparing his family from Nazi persecution. She became a close, trusted friend of the Frank family and was a great support to them during the 25 months they spent in hiding. Together with her colleague B.E.P. Voswichel, she retrieved in Frank's diary after the family was arrested, and kept the papers safe until Otto Frank returned from Auschwitz in June 1945 and learned of his younger daughter's death soon afterwards. Gies had stored in Frank's papers in the hopes of returning them to the girl, but gave them to Otto Frank, who compiled them into a diary first published in June 1947. In collaboration with Alison Leslie Gold, Gies wrote the book And Frank Remembered, the story of the woman who helped to hide the Frank family in 1987. She died in 2010 at age 100 after suffering injuries from a fall. 6. Abbe Pierre, A Century of Devotion, 2023. Abbe Pierre, A Century of Devotion, French, L'Abbe Pierre, Un Vie de Combats, is a 2023 French biographical drama film based on the life of Abbe Pierre, a Catholic priest and national hero in France who devoted his life to helping the poor, homeless people and refugees. The film premiered at the 76th Cannes Film Festival on May 26, 2023. Abbe Pierre, born Henri-Marie Joseph Gruys, August 5, 1912 to January 22, 2007, was a French Catholic priest, member of the resistance during World War II, and deputy of the Popular Republican Movement, MRP. In 1949 he founded the Emmaus Movement with the goal of helping poor and homeless people and refugees. He was one of the most popular figures in France but had his name removed from such polls after some time. Abbe Pierre remained active until his death on January 22, 2007 in the Val de Grace Military Hospital in Paris, following a lung infection, aged 94. He took a stance on most social struggles, supporting illegal aliens, assisting the homeless, the Enfants de Don Quichotte movement end of 2006 start of 2007, and social movements in favor of requisitioning empty buildings and offices, squats, etc. He continued to read each day La Croix, the Christian social daily newspaper. In January 2007 he went to the National Assembly to oppose those deputies wanting to change the law on lodging for homeless people, promoted by President Jacques Chirac after the mobilization of the Enfants de Don Quichotte NGO. 7. The Beanie Bubble, 2023. The Beanie Bubble is a 2023 American comedy drama film directed by Kristen Gore and Damian Kulash Jr. from a screenplay by Gore, based on the 2015 book The Great Beanie Baby Bubble, Mass Delusion and the Dark Side of Cute by Zach Bissonnette about the Beanie Babies bubble. The Beanie Bubble was released in select cinemas on July 21, 2023 before its streaming release on July 28, 2023, by Apple TV+. The film depicts the meteoric rise in popularity of the Beanie Babies and tells the story behind the toy obsession that took off in the 1990s. It follows toy manufacturer turned billionaire Ty Warner and centers around the women who were integral to his success. Beanie Babies are a line of stuffed toys created by American businessman Ty Warner who founded Ty Inc. in 1986. The toys are stuffed with plastic pellets, beans, rather than conventional soft stuffing. They come in many different forms, mostly animals. Created in 1993, Beanie Babies emerged as a major fad and collectible during the second half of the 1990s. They have been cited as being the world's first internet sensation in 1995. They were collected not only as toys, but also as a financial investment, owing to the high resale value of particular ones. Beanie Babies were first introduced in 1993 by Ty Warner at the World Toy Fair in New York City, New York. Manufacturing began in 1994 and the toys were first sold in stores located in Chicago, Illinois for around $5. There were 9 original Beanie Babies: Legs the Frog, Squealer the Pig, Spot the Dog, Flash the Dolphin, Splash the Whale, Chocolate the Moose, Patty the Platypus, Brownie the Bear, later renamed Cubby, and Pinchers the Lobster, with some tag errors labeled Punchers. Since 1994, Beanie Babies can only be found in small, specialty stores, such as gift stores and small toy stores. In 1996, Ty Inc. released Teeny Beanies, a line of miniature versions of the original Beanie Babies. They were sold alongside McDonald's Happy Meals to celebrate the Happy Meal's 17th anniversary. They also partnered with other companies. Ty Inc. stopped producing Beanie Babies in December 1999, but high demand soon led them to reconsider. Production restarted in 2000 with a Beanie Baby named The Beginning. In early 2008, Ty released a new version of Beanie Babies called Beanie Babies 2.0. The purchase of a Beanie Baby 2.0 provided its owner with a code to access an online Beanie Babies interactive website. The website has since been shut down. 8. Big George Foreman, 2023. Big George Foreman, the miraculous story of the once and future heavyweight champion of the world, or simply Big George Foreman, is a 2023 American biographical sports drama film on the life of world heavyweight boxing champion George Foreman, played by Chris Davis. Development on Big George Foreman began in 2021 and after several production delays, filming took place on a budget of $32 million from February to March 2022 in New Orleans. The film was released theatrically by Sony Pictures, releasing on April 28, 2023. The film has grossed $5.4 million in the United States and Canada and $604,430 in other territories, for a worldwide total of $6 million. George Edward Foreman, born January 10, 1949, is an American former professional boxer, entrepreneur, minister, and author. In boxing he competed between 1967 and 1997 and was nicknamed Big George. He is a 2-time world heavyweight champion and an Olympic gold medalist. As an entrepreneur, he is known for the George Foreman Grill. After a troubled childhood, Foreman took up amateur boxing and won a gold medal in the heavyweight division at the 1968 Summer Olympics. Having turned professional the next year, he won the world heavyweight title with a stunning second-round knockout of then-undefeated Joe Frazier in 1973. He defended the belt twice before suffering his first professional loss to Muhammad Ali in the iconic Rumble in the Jungle in 1974. Unable to secure another title opportunity, Foreman retired after a loss to Jimmy Young in 1977. Foreman became an ordained Christian minister. 10 years later he announced a comeback and in 1994 at age 45 won the unified WBA, IBF, and lineal heavyweight championship titles by knocking out 26-year-old Michael Moore. At 46 years and 169 days old he was the oldest world heavyweight champion in history. Foreman is the oldest to ever win the World Heavyweight Boxing Championship of major honors and the second oldest in any weight class after Bernard Hopkins, at light heavyweight. He retired in 1997 at the age of 48, with a final record of 76 wins, 68 knockouts, and 5 losses. Foreman has been inducted into the World Boxing Hall of Fame and International Boxing Hall of Fame. The International Boxing Research Organization rates Foreman as the 8th greatest heavyweight of all time. Foreman with President Lyndon B. Johnson in 1968. A cut to Foreman's right eye on September 18, 1974, postponed the bout for a month. Ali doing the rope-a-dope to avoid Foreman's formidable power. Foreman with trainer Archie Moore on September 10, 1974 on the way to Kinshasa for his fight with Muhammad Ali. 9. BlackBerry, 2023. BlackBerry is a 2023 Canadian biographical comedy drama film directed by Matt Johnson from a script by Johnson and producer Matthew Miller. It was loosely adapted from Jackie McNish and Sean Silcoff's book Losing the Signal, the untold story behind the extraordinary rise and spectacular fall of BlackBerry. The film is a fictional account of the creation of the BlackBerry line of mobile phone by co-founders Douglas Fredgen and Mike Lazaridis, and investor Jim Balsillie. BlackBerry premiered in competition at the 73rd Berlin International Film Festival on February 17, 2023. The film was released in Canada on May 12, 2023, to positive reviews. In late 2023, BlackBerry was re-released as a 3-part miniseries with additional footage. The film is the most nominated film in the history of the Canadian Screen Awards, with 17 nominations. It won 14 awards, including Best Motion Picture. BlackBerry is a discontinued brand of smartphones and other related mobile services and devices. The line was originally developed and maintained by the Canadian company BlackBerry Limited, formerly known as Research in Motion, or RIM, from 1999 to 2016, after which it was licensed to various companies. At its peak in September 2011, there were 85 million BlackBerry subscribers worldwide. However, BlackBerry lost its dominant position in the market due to the success of the Android and iOS platforms. Its numbers had fallen to 23 million in March 2016, a decline of almost 3/4. On September 28, 2016, BlackBerry Limited announced it would cease designing its own BlackBerry devices in favor of licensing to partners to design, manufacture, and market. The original licensors were BB Merah Putih for the Indonesian market, Optimus Infracom for the South Asian market, and BlackBerry Mobile, a trade name of TCL Technology, for all other markets. Historically, BlackBerry devices used a proprietary operating system, known as BlackBerry OS, developed by BlackBerry Limited. In 2013, BlackBerry introduced BlackBerry 10, a major revamp of the platform based on the QNX operating system. BlackBerry 10 was meant to replace the aging BlackBerry OS platform with a new system that was more in line with the user experiences of Android and iOS platforms. In 2015, BlackBerry began releasing Android-based smartphones, beginning with the BlackBerry Priv. 10. Boston Strangler, 2023. Boston Strangler is a 2023 American historical crime drama film written and directed by Matt Rustin. It is based on the true story of the Boston Strangler, who in the 1960s Boston killed 13 women. Boston Strangler was released in the United States on March 17, 2023, by Hulu. It received mixed reviews from critics. The Boston Strangler is the name given to the murderer of 13 women in Greater Boston during the early 1960s. The crimes were attributed to Albert DeSalvo based on his confession, on details revealed in court during a separate case, and DNA evidence linking him to the final victim. In the years following DeSalvo's conviction, but prior to the emergence of this DNA evidence, various parties investigating the crime suggested that the murders, sometimes referred to as the silk stocking murders, were committed by more than one person. Between June 14, 1962 and January 4, 1964, 13 single women between the ages of 19 and 85 were murdered in the Boston area. Most were sexually assaulted and strangled in their apartments. Originally, the police believed that one man was the sole perpetrator. With no sign of forced entry into their homes, the women were assumed to have let their assailant in either because they may have known him or because they believed him to be a service provider. The attacks continued despite extensive media publicity after the first few murders. Many residents purchased tear gas and new locks and deadbolts for their doors. Some women even moved out of the area in response to the killings. Albert Henry DeSalvo, September 3, 1931 to November 25, 1973, was an American murderer and rapist who was active in Boston, Massachusetts, in the early 1960s. He is known to have confessed to being the Boston Strangler, a serial killer who murdered 13 women in the Boston area between 1962 and 1964. Lack of physical evidence supported his confession, and he was only prosecuted in 1967 for a series of unrelated rapes, for which he was convicted and imprisoned until his death in 1973. His confessing to having murdered multiple women was disputed, and debates continued regarding which crimes he truly had committed. By the early 21st century, techniques for DNA capture and analysis could allow for the reinvestigation of some criminal cases. In July 2013, an analysis of semen found around the body of Mary Sullivan, who was raped and murdered and is the last of the Strangler's victims, was matched to DNA obtained from DeSalvo's nephew. DeSalvo was sentenced to life in prison in 1967. In February of that year, he escaped with 2 fellow inmates from Bridgewater State Hospital, triggering a full-scale manhunt. After the escape, he was transferred to the maximum security Walpole State Prison. 6 years after the transfer, he was found stabbed to death in the prison infirmary. His killer or killers were never identified. 11. Cassandro 2023. Cassandro is a 2023 American biographical drama film following the true story of Cassandro, the exotico character created by Saul Armendariz, gay amateur wrestler from El Paso who rose to international stardom, directed by Roger Ross Williams from a screenplay co-wrote by Williams and David Teague. It had its world premiere at the 2023 Sundance Film Festival on January 20, 2023, and was released by Amazon MGM Studios in a limited release on September 15, 2023, prior to streaming via Prime Video on September 22, 2023. It also screened at the 50th Telluride Film Festival on September 2, 2023. Gael Garcia Bernal won Best International Actor Award in Astra Film Awards January 2024. Saul Armendariz, born May 20, 1970, is an American-born Mexican luchador or professional wrestler, who works as an exotico for several independent promotions all over the world under the ring name Cassandro. He is a former NWA World Welterweight and UWA World Lightweight Champion. In 2009, Armendariz signed a contract with American promotion Total Nonstop Action Wrestling, TNA, but was released before making his official debut. Armendariz was born and raised in El Paso, Texas, but also spent a lot of time just across the Mexican border in Juarez, Chihuahua, his family's native town. He officially began his professional wrestling career in 1988 working under a mask as Mr. Romano. The character, made up by well-known luchador Rey Mysterio, was a gladiator-themed Ruto villain. Less than a year later, Armendariz was encouraged to abandon the character and take on a new exotico character by Babe Sharon. Exoticos are male wrestlers dressed in drag portraying gay caricatures. While most exoticos were straight, both Sharon and Armendariz were gay. Armendariz wrestled his first match as an exotico in Juarez, working unmasked and under the new ring name Rosa Salvaje, Wild Rose. 12. Cocaine Bear 2023. Cocaine Bear, released as Crazy Bear in some countries, is a 2023 American comedy horror film directed by Elizabeth Banks and written by Jimmy Warden. It is loosely inspired by the true story of the Cocaine Bear, an American black bear that ingested several kilograms of a bag containing about 75 pounds 34 kilograms of lost cocaine. It is dedicated to Leota, who died in May 2022. Cocaine Bear was released in the United States on February 24, 2023 by Universal Pictures. The film opened to generally positive reviews from critics and grossed over $90 million against a production budget of $30 to $35 million. Cocaine Bear, also known as Pablo Escobar, sometimes spelled Escobar, or Cokie the Bear, was a 175-pound, 79-kilogram, American black bear that fatally overdosed on cocaine in 1985. In 1985, drug smuggler Andrew C. Thornton drops a shipment of cocaine from his plane. He attempts to parachute out with a drug-filled duffel bag, but knocks himself unconscious on the doorframe, causing him to fall to his death. His body lands in Knoxville, Tennessee, where he is identified by Bob, a local detective. He concludes that the cocaine is likely from St. Louis drug kingpin Sid White, and the remainder is missing. Meanwhile, in the Chattahoochee, Oconee National Forest, an American black bear eats some of the cocaine. Becoming highly aggressive, it attacks hikers Elsa and Olaf, killing the former. The bear was found dead in northern Georgia and was stuffed and displayed at a mall in Kentucky. Andrew Carter Thornton II, October 30, 1944 to September 11, 1985, was an American narcotics officer and lawyer who became the head member of The Company, a drug smuggling ring in Kentucky. After quitting the Army, Thornton joined the Lexington, Fayette Urban County Police Department in 1968. He became a member of the Lexington Police Department's narcotics squad in the early 1970s and worked on narcotics investigations with the Louisville office of the Drug Enforcement Administration. After resigning from the police in 1977, Thornton practiced law in Lexington. 4 years later, he was among 25 men accused in Fresno, California, in a theft of weapons from the China Lake Naval Weapons Center and of conspiring to smuggle 1,000 pounds of marijuana into the United States. Thornton left California after pleading not guilty and was arrested as a fugitive in North Carolina, wearing a bulletproof vest and carrying a pistol. He pled no contest in Fresno to a misdemeanor drug charge and the felony charges were dropped. He was sentenced to 6 months in prison, fined $500, placed on probation for 5 years, and had his law license suspended. On September 11, 1985, while on a smuggling run from Colombia, Thornton and a partner jumped from his autopiloted Cessna 404, after dumping packages of cocaine off near Blairsville, Georgia, U.S. Thornton became caught in his parachute and ended up in a free fall to the ground. His body was found by 85-year-old Fred Myers, in the gravel driveway of Myers's home in Knoxville, Tennessee. The plane crashed over 60 miles, 97 kilometers, away in Hayesville, North Carolina. At the time of his death, Thornton was wearing a bulletproof vest and expensive Italian shoes, and in possession of night vision goggles, a green army duffel bag containing approximately 35 kilograms, 75 pounds, of cocaine valued at $15 million, $4,500 in cash, 6 1-ounce, 31.1 g, gold Krugerrands, knives, and 2 pistols. 3 months later, a dead black bear, later known as the cocaine bear that had apparently overdosed on cocaine dropped by Thornton, was found in the Chattahoochee National Forest. 13. Comandante 2023. Comandante is a 2023 Italian war drama film co-written and directed by Edoardo De Angelis. The film opened the 80th Venice Film Festival on August 30, 2023. The film tells an episode of the Battle of the Atlantic when the Italian submarine Comandante Cappellini sunk the Belgian ship Caballo, and Cappellini's commander Salvatore Tadero decided to disobey orders and to rescue the Caballo's crew, being forced to navigate on the surface for 3 days, making the ship an easy target for enemies. Comandante grossed $3.8 million in Italy. The Battle of the Atlantic, the longest continuous military campaign in World War II, ran from 1939 to the defeat of Nazi Germany in 1945, covering a major part of the naval history of World War II. At its core was the Allied naval blockade of Germany, announced the day after the declaration of war, and Germany's subsequent counterblockade. The campaign peaked from mid-1940 through to the end of 1943. The Battle of the Atlantic pitted U-boats and other warships of the German Kriegsmarine, Navy, and aircraft of the Luftwaffe, Air Force, against the Royal Navy, Royal Canadian Navy, United States Navy, and Allied merchant shipping. Convoys, coming mainly from North America and predominantly going to the United Kingdom and the Soviet Union, were protected for the most part by the British and Canadian navies and air forces. These forces were aided by ships and aircraft of the United States beginning September 13, 1941. The Germans were joined by submarines of the Italian Regia Marina, Royal Navy, after Germany's Axis ally Italy entered the war on June 10, 1940. The Battle of the Atlantic has been called the longest, largest, and most complex naval battle in history. The campaign started immediately after the European War began, during the so-called Phony War, and lasted more than 5 years, until the German surrender in May 1945. It involved thousands of ships in a theater covering millions of square miles of ocean. The situation changed constantly, with one side or the other gaining advantage, as participating countries surrendered, joined, and even changed sides in the war, and as new weapons, tactics, countermeasures and equipment were developed by both sides. The Allies gradually gained the upper hand, overcoming German surface raiders by the end of 1942 and defeating the U-boats by mid-1943, though losses due to U-boats continued until the war's end. British Prime Minister Winston Churchill later wrote, "The only thing that really frightened me during the war was the U-boat peril. I was even more anxious about this battle than I had been about the glorious air fight called the Battle of Britain." 14. The Crowded Room 2023. The Crowded Room is a psychological thriller miniseries created by Akiva Goldsman and inspired by the 1981 non-fiction novel The Minds of Billy Milligan by Daniel Keyes after he was arrested for his involvement in a New York City shooting in 1979. On June 9, 2023, The Crowded Room premiered with its first 3 episodes on Apple TV+. One each of the remaining 7 episodes was released weekly through July 28, 2023. The series received negative reviews from critics. The Minds of Billy Milligan is a 1981 non-fiction novel by Hugo Award-winning author Daniel Keyes. It tells the story of Billy Milligan, the first person in U.S. history acquitted of a major crime by pleading dissociative identity disorder. William Stanley Milligan, February 14, 1955 to December 12, 2014, also known as the campus rapist, was an American man who was the subject of a highly publicized court case in Ohio in the late 1970s. After having committed several felonies including armed robbery, he was arrested for 3 rapes on the campus of Ohio State University. In the course of preparing his defense, psychologists diagnosed Milligan with dissociative identity disorder. His lawyers pleaded insanity, claiming that 2 of his alternate personalities committed the crimes without Milligan being aware of it. He was the first person diagnosed with dissociative identity disorder to raise such a defense, and the first acquitted of a major crime for this reason, instead spending a decade in psychiatric hospitals. Milligan was released in 1988 after a decade in psychiatric hospitals. On August 1, 1991, he was discharged from the Ohio mental health system and the Ohio courts. In 1996, he lived in California where he owned Stormy Life Productions and was going to make a short film, which apparently was never made. His location, thereafter, remained for a long time unknown, his former acquaintances having lost contact with him. According to his sister, he had been living on her property in Ohio when he was diagnosed with cancer in 2012 and lived with her for the remainder of his life. Milligan died of cancer at a nursing home in Columbus, Ohio, on December 12, 2014. He was 59. 15. FlaminHot 2023. FlaminHot is a 2023 American biographical comedy drama film directed by Eva Longoria in her feature-length directorial debut. Written by Linda Yvette Chavez and Louis Colick, it is based on the memoir A Boy, a Burrito, and a Cookie, From Janitor to Executive by Richard Montañez, the Frito-Lay janitor who claims to have invented Flamin' Hot Cheetos. The film had its world premiere at South by Southwest on March 11, 2023. It was released on June 9, 2023, by Hulu and Disney Plus to mixed reviews from critics. At the 96th Academy Awards, Flamin' Hot received a nomination for Best Original Song for The Fire Inside, written by Diane Warren, but lost to What Was I Made For, from Barbie. Richard Montañez is an American businessman, motivational speaker, and author. After dropping out of school, he was hired by Frito-Lay as a janitor and went on to become an executive in the company. He is best known for his claim of inventing Flamin' Hot Cheetos, which is disputed by Frito-Lay and other employees. According to Montañez's account, when a Cheetos machine broke down, he took home a batch of unflavored snacks and seasoned them with spices akin to Mexican street corn. He pitched this idea to CEO Roger Enrico over the phone and was invited to deliver an in-person presentation, which he prepared for by researching marketing at the public library. Montañez then presented the product as appealing to the growing Latino market, and provided samples in plastic bags that he had hand-decorated and sealed. It was soft-launched 6 months later to a test market in Los Angeles, and approved for national release in 1992. Newsweek reported that the flavor, since expanded to a full product line, rejuvenated the brand, and garnered billions in revenue. In May 2021, a Los Angeles Times article disputed Montañez's claim, reporting that based on an internal investigation at Frito-Lay, he did not create Flamin' Hot Cheetos. A spokesperson for Frito-Lay stated, "We value Richard's many contributions to our company, especially his insights into Hispanic consumers, but we do not credit the creation of Flamin' Hot Cheetos or any Flamin' Hot products to him." Montañez began giving keynote speeches, largely based on his Flamin' Hot Cheetos claim, in the late 2000s. Montañez's last position was Vice President of Multicultural Sales and Community Promotions for PepsiCo North America. He retired from PepsiCo in March 2019 during an internal investigation into his Flamin' Hot Cheetos claim. Montañez is the author of 2 books based on his life experiences, A Boy, a Burrito, and a Cookie, and Flamin' Hot, the incredible true story of one man's rise from janitor to top executive. He is the subject of a biopic. 16. The Gallows Pole 2023. The Gallows Pole is a 3-part television series made for the BBC by Element Pictures, Big Artie Productions, and A24. It is a Shane Meadows adaptation of the novel of the same name by Benjamin Myers. According to Meadows, the series is a prequel to Myers's novel. It premiered on May 31, 2023. The series tells the fictionalized story of David Hartley and the Crag Vale coiners at the onset of the Industrial Revolution in 18th century Yorkshire. Hartley, Sosha, assembles a gang of weavers and landworkers to embark upon a revolutionary criminal enterprise that will capsize the economy and become the biggest fraud in British history. The Crag Vale coiners, sometimes the Yorkshire coiners, were a band of counterfeiters in England, based in Crag Vale, near Hebden Bridge, West Riding of Yorkshire. They produced debased gold coins in the late 18th century to supplement small incomes from weaving. Activities. Led by King David Hartley, the coiners obtained real coins from publicans, sometimes on the promise that they could grow the investment by smelting the original metals with base ores. They clipped the edges of genuine coins, leaving them only very slightly smaller, and collected the shavings. They then melted down the shavings to produce metal for counterfeits. Designs were punched into the blank coins with a hammer and a coining kit. The coiners then had their accomplices place the fakes into circulation. Most of the counterfeit coins had French, Spanish, or Portuguese designs. Downfall. In 1769, William Dayton, or Dayton, a public official, investigated the possibilities of a counterfeiting gang in Crag Vale. A coiner by the name of James Broadbent betrayed the gang by turning King's evidence and revealing the gang's existence and operations to authorities. Dayton had Hartley arrested. Isaac Hartley, King David's brother, engineered a plan to have Dayton murdered, with a number of coiners subscribing a total of 100 guineas in support of the plan. On November 10, 1769, 2 farmhands employed by the coiners, Matthew Normanton and Robert Thomas, ambushed Dayton in Halifax and shot him dead in Bull Close Lane. Charles Watson Wentworth, the Marquess of Rockingham and former Prime Minister, was tasked with hunting down the killers. He had 30 coiners arrested by Christmas Day. David Hartley was hanged at York Tyburn, near York on April 28, 1770 and buried in the village of Heptonstall, West Riding of Yorkshire. His brother Isaac escaped the authorities and lived until 1815. Dayton's murderers were also caught and hanged, Thomas on August 6, 1774 and Normanton on April 15, 1775. The Crag coiners were the subject of a children's novel Gold Pieces by Phyllis Bentley. The story is seen through the eyes of a fictitious 12-year-old boy who lives nearby and who befriends the son of David Hartley. All the places and the main characters such as David Hartley and William Dighton are given their real names. Gold Pieces was reprinted in 2007. The story of the gang was used as a basis in the independently published graphic novel, The Last Coiner, written by Peter M. Kershaw. David Hartley is renamed David Hawksworth and is portrayed, through manipulated photography, by the actor Keith Patrick. 17. GomBurZa 2023. GomBurZa is a 2023 American-British biographical drama film directed by Guy Native and written by Nicholas Martin. The film depicts actions of Golda Meir, the fourth Prime Minister of Israel during the Yom Kippur War. It received its world premiere at the 2023 Berlin International Film Festival on February 20, 2023. It was released in the United States by Bleecker Street and Chivens Pictures on August 25, 2023 and was released in the United Kingdom and Ireland by Vertical Entertainment and Met Film Distribution on October 6, 2023. The film received a Best Makeup and Hairstyling nomination at the 96th Academy Awards. Golda Meir, May 3, 1898 to 8 December 1978, was an Israeli politician who served as the fourth Prime Minister of Israel from 1969 to 1974. She was Israel's first and only female head of government and the first in the Middle East. Born into a Ukrainian Jewish family in Kiev in what was then the Russian Empire, Meir immigrated with her family to the United States in 1906. Meir was elected to the Knesset in 1949 and served as labor minister until 1956, when she was appointed foreign minister by Prime Minister David Ben-Gurion. She retired from the ministry in 1966 due to ill health. A controversial figure in Israel, Meir has been lionized as a founder of the state and described as the Iron Lady of Israeli politics, but also widely blamed for the country being caught by surprise during the War of 1973. In addition, her dismissive statements towards the Palestinians were widely scorned. Most historians believe Meir was more successful as Minister of Labor and Housing than as Premier. The Yom Kippur War, also known as the Ramadan War, the October War, the 1973 Arab-Israeli War or the Fourth Arab-Israeli War was an armed conflict fought from 6 to October 25, 1973 between Israel and a coalition of Arab states led by Egypt and Syria. The majority of combat between the two sides took place in the Sinai Peninsula and the Golan Heights, both of which had been occupied by Israel in 1967, with some fighting in African Egypt and northern Israel. Egypt's initial objective in the war was to seize a foothold on the eastern bank of the Suez Canal and subsequently leverage these gains to negotiate the return of the rest of the Israeli-occupied Sinai Peninsula. The war began on October 6, 1973 when the Arab coalition jointly launched a surprise attack against Israel on the Jewish holy day of Yom Kippur, which had occurred during the 10th day of the Islamic holy month of Ramadan in that year. Following the outbreak of hostilities, both the United States and the Soviet Union initiated massive resupply efforts to their allies, Israel and the Arab states respectively, during the war which led to a confrontation between the two nuclear-armed superpowers. 18. The Gold 2023. The Gold is a British drama television series written by Neil Forsyth and co-produced by his Tanidus Pictures production label. It began streaming on Paramount Plus in September 2023. The BBC commissioned a second series in November 2023. The series covers the 1983 Brink's-Mat robbery in which £26 million, equivalent to £111 million in 2023, worth of gold bullion, diamonds, and cash was stolen from a warehouse near Heathrow Airport, and the widespread events that followed over the following decade. At the time it was the biggest robbery in history, and led to a number of international criminal investigations. The Brink's-Mat robbery was one of the largest robberies in British history. It occurred at the Heathrow International Trading Estate London on November 26, 1983 from a warehouse operated by Brink's-Mat, a former joint venture between US security company Brinks and London-based company MAT Transport. The bullion was the property of Johnson Matthey Bankers Limited. Mickey McAvoy and Brian Robinson were convicted of armed robbery. Most of the gold has never been recovered. Lloyds of London paid out for the losses, and several shooting deaths have been linked to the case. The Brink's-Mat robbery happened at 6:40 on November 26, 1983 when 6 robbers broke into the Brink's-Mat warehouse, Unit 7 of the Heathrow International Trading Estate near Heathrow Airport in West London, England. It was described as the crime of the century. The gang gained entry to the warehouse from security guard Anthony Black, who was complicit in the robbery. Once inside, they poured petrol over the staff and threatened them with a lit match if they did not reveal the combination numbers of the vault. The robbers thought that they were going to steal around £1 million worth of Spanish pesetas, but they also found 3 tons, 3,000 kilograms, of pure gold bullion outside the main vault in 152 bars in 76 cardboard boxes. The gold had been stored at the warehouse overnight before being due to be transferred to Hong Kong the next day. In addition, they stole platinum, 1,000 carats of diamonds and $250,000 of traveler's checks. 19. GomBurZa 2023. GomBurZa is a 2023 Philippine historical biographical film co-written and directed by Pepe Diokno. It features and follows the lives of the GomBurZa, 3 native Filipino Roman Catholic priests executed during the latter years of the Spanish colonial era in the Philippines. It serves as an official entry to the 49th Metro Manila Film Festival and was released in cinemas nationwide on December 25, 2023. On April 9, 2024, GomBurZa was released on Netflix as the second entry from the 2023 Metro Manila Film Festival. Accolades: received the awards in Manila Film Festival for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, Best Cinematography, Best Production Design, Best Sound in Capuno Antonio J. Villegas Cultural Award. Mariano Gomez de Los Angeles was born in the suburb of Santa Cruz, Manila on August 2, 1799, and a well-known Roman Catholic priest during their time, part of the trio accused of mutiny by Spanish colonial authorities in the Philippines in the 19th century. He was a tornatrez, one born from mixed native, Filipino, Chinese, and Spanish ancestries. He fought for the rights of his fellow native priests against Spanish abuses. He was also active in the publication of the newspaper La Verdad. José Apolonio Burgos y Garcia was born in Vigan, Ilocos Sur on February 9, 1837, and was baptized on the 12th of the same month. He completed a Bachelor of Philosophy, Bachelor of Theology, Licentiate in Philosophy, Licentiate in Theology, Doctor of Theology and Doctor of Canon Law in 1868. Jacinto Zamora y del Rosario was born on August 14, 1835 in Pandacan, Manila. After being given ministerial and priestly authority, Zamora was able to establish parishes in Marikina, Pasig, and Batangas, and was also assigned to oversee Manila Cathedral on December 3, 1864. GomBurZa, alternatively stylized as GomBurZa or GomBurZa, refers to 3 Filipino Catholic priests, Mariano Gomez, José Burgos, and Jacinto Zamora, who were executed by a garrote on February 17, 1872 in Bagumbayan, Philippines by Spanish colonial authorities on charges of subversion arising from the 1872 Cavite Mutiny. The name is a portmanteau of the priests' surnames. At the time of the execution, Gomez was 72 years old, Burgos was 35 years old, and Zamora was 36 years old. GomBurZa incurred the hatred of Spanish authorities for fighting for equal rights among priests and leading the campaign against the Spanish friars. They fought on the issues of secularization in the Philippines that led to the conflict of religious and church seculars. During the Spanish colonization of the Philippines, secular priest Father Pedro Peláez retells the story of Apolinario de la Cruz, a native who was rejected for priesthood because his race and founded a sect of his own before being suppressed and executed by the Spaniards, to his student, José Burgos, and fellow secular priest Mariano Gomez. The trio fights attempts by the friars from the religious orders led by Padre Mosqueda to take over parishes administered by predominantly Filipino secular priests. Peláez later dies in the 1863 Manila earthquake while Burgos finishes his studies for the priesthood. 20. The Great Escaper 2023. The Great Escaper is a 2023 biographical comedy drama film directed by Oliver Parker. It is based on the true story of 90-year-old British World War II Royal Navy veteran Bernard Jordan, who broke out of his nursing home to attend the 70th anniversary D-Day commemorations in France in June 2014. The Great Escaper had its world premiere in London at BFI South Bank on September 20, 2023 and was released in the United Kingdom on October 6, 2023 by Warner Bros. Pictures. The film marked the final screen performances for both lead actors. Jackson died in June 2023, 9 months after filming finished. D-Day. The Normandy landings were the landing operations and associated airborne operations on June 6, 1944 of the Allied invasion of Normandy in Operation Overlord during the Second World War. Codenamed Operation Neptune and often referred to as D-Day, it is the largest seaborne invasion in history. The operation began the liberation of France, and the rest of Western Europe, and laid the foundations of the Allied victory on the Western Front. Bernie and Renee Jordan are living in a retirement home in Hove, England after Renee's health deteriorated. Bernie, who served in the Royal Navy during the Second World War, hopes to attend the 70th anniversary of D-Day, but is told that there are no spaces left on any of the group tours to Normandy for the event. Initially hesitant to leave his wife behind due to her fragile health, he is finally persuaded by Renee herself to find his own way to Normandy to join the commemorations. Bernie leaves the nursing home early one morning, takes a taxi to Dover and gets a ticket on a ferry to France. On the ferry he meets Arthur, a RAF veteran who is on a group tour to Normandy for the commemoration. When Arthur discovers that Bernie is traveling on his own, he invites him to join his group and even to share his hotel room in France. Bernie is reluctant at first but ultimately acquiesces. When Bernie begins his return journey, he discovers that he has become a celebrity, dubbed the Great Escaper, and the story of his flight to Normandy has appeared in all the papers. The ferry company staff treat him like royalty, and when he gets back home he finds a gaggle of reporters awaiting him. He brushes past them in dismay and goes straight to Renee, to whom he confesses the truth of his guilt over Douglas' death, and his despair at the wasted lives of all the young men who died on that fateful day 70 years ago. Renee assures him that Douglas' death was not his fault, and points out that he and she have lived every second of their lives together and never wasted the time they were given. The next morning Bernie and Renee get up early to watch the dawn break on the horizon just as they did some 70 years earlier when they were young lovers. A caption tells us that Bernie died 6 months after his Great Escape and Renee died 7 days later. 21. Ingeborg Bachmann, Journey into the Desert 2023. Ingeborg Bachmann, Journey into the Desert is a 2023 European co-production biopic drama film directed by Margarete von Trotta and stars Vicky Krieps in the titular role. The film depicts the life of Austrian poet and author Ingeborg Bachmann 1926 to 1973. It was selected to compete for the Golden Bear at the 73rd Berlin International Film Festival, where it had its world premiere on February 19, 2023. The biopic film is about the life of the Austrian poet and author Ingeborg Bachmann, who lived in Berlin, Zurich, and Rome. The film depicts her relationship with Swiss playwright Max Frisch, her friendship with composer Hans Werner Henze, and her trip to Egypt with writer Adolf Opel. It also showcases her radical texts and readings. Ingeborg Bachmann, June 25, 1926 to October 17, 1973 was an Austrian poet and author. She is regarded as one of the major voices of German-language literature in the 20th century. In 1963 she was nominated for the Nobel Prize in Literature by German philologist Harold Patzer. Bachmann was born in Klagenfurt, in the Austrian state of Carinthia. She studied philosophy, psychology, German philology, and law at the universities of Innsbruck, Graz, and Vienna. In 1949, she received her PhD from the University of Vienna with her dissertation titled The Critical Reception of the Existential Philosophy of Martin Heidegger. Her thesis advisor was Victor Kraft. Between November 1959 and February 1960 Bachmann gave 5 lectures on poetics, questions and pseudo-questions, on poems, the writing I, the close association with names, literature as utopia, at the Goethe University Frankfurt. During her later years she suffered from alcoholism and from an addiction to medication prescribed by her doctor. On the night of September 25, 1973 her nightgown caught on fire and she was taken to the St. Eugenio Hospital at 7:05 a.m. the following morning for treatment of 2nd and 3rd degree burns. Local police concluded that the fire was caused by a cigarette. During her stay, she experienced withdrawal symptoms from barbiturate substance abuse, though the doctors treating her were not aware of the cause. This may have contributed to her subsequent death on October 17, 1973. 22. 12.12, The Day 2023. 12.12. The Day is a 2023 South Korean historical action drama film directed by Kim Sung-soo. The film is set against the backdrop of the December 12, 1979 military coup from the late 1970s to early 1980s. It was released theatrically on November 22, 2023. The film has earned a worldwide gross of over $97 million against a budget of about $17 million, making it the highest grossing Korean film of 2023. As of June 2024, 12.12, The Day is the 4th highest grossing film and the 6th most viewed film in South Korean film history. The coup d'état of December 12 or the 12/12 military insurrection was a military mutiny which took place on December 12, 1979, in South Korea. Republic of Korea Army Major General Chun Do-hwan, commander of the Defense Security Command, acting without authorization from acting President Choi Kyu-ha, ordered the arrest of General Jong Sun-hwa, ROK Army Chief of Staff on allegations of involvement in the assassination of former President Park Chung-hee. After Jong's capture, 29th Regiment of the 9th Division along with the 1st Special Forces Brigade and 3rd Special Forces Brigade, invaded downtown Seoul to support the 30th and 33rd Capital Security Group loyal to Chun. Then a series of conflicts broke out in the capital. 2 of Jong's allies, Major General Jang Tae-won, commander of Army Capital Security Command, and Major General Jong Byong-ju, commander of Army Special Warfare Command, were also arrested by the rebel troops. Major Kim O-rang, aide-de-camp of Jong Byong-ju, was killed during the gunfight. By the next morning, the Ministry of Defense and Army HQ were all occupied. Chun and his fellow 11th class of Korea Military Academy graduates, such as Major General Roh Tae-woo, commanding general of 9th Infantry Division, and Major General Jong Ho-yong were in charge of the Korean military. Chun was supported in the coup and the subsequent consolidation of power by the powerful private club of military officials called Hanaho. The coup d'état of December 12 and the coup d'état of May 17 were the beginning of the end of the Fourth Republic of Korea. The coup, alongside the Gwangju Uprising, is the primary justification for Chun's 1995 arrest by the Kim Young-sam administration. 23. Jeanne Du Barry 2023. Jeanne Du Barry is a 2023 historical drama film directed, co-written and produced by Mae Wen, starring herself and Johnny Depp in the leading roles. Its plot centers on the life of Jeanne Bcu, who was born as the illegitimate daughter of an impoverished seamstress in 1743 and went on to rise through the court of Louis XV to become his last official mistress. With its budget of $22.4 million, Jeanne Du Barry was one of the most expensive French films of 2023, one of only 3 French films with a budget over €10 million. The film had its world premiere as the opening film at the 2023 Cannes Film Festival on May 16, 2023 and was released theatrically in France on the same day by L'Opacti, 15 months in advance of its scheduled streaming release on Netflix in France. Jeanne Becu, Comtesse Du Barry, August 19, 1743 to December 8, 1793 was the last maîtresse en titre of King Louis XV of France. She was executed by guillotine during the French Revolution on accusations of treason, particularly being suspected of assisting émigrés to flee from the revolution. She is also known as Mademoiselle Vaubernier. In 1768, when the king wished to make Jeanne maîtresse en titre, etiquette required her to be the wife of a high courtier, so she was hastily married on September 1, 1768 to Comte Guillaume Du Barry. The wedding ceremony was accompanied by a false birth certificate created by Jean-Baptiste Du Barry, the Comte's older brother. The certificate made Jeanne appear younger by 3 years and obscured her poor background. Henceforth, she was recognized as the king's official paramour. Her arrival at the French royal court scandalized some, as she had been a courtesan and came from humble beginnings. She was shunned by many, including Marie Antoinette, whose contempt for Jeanne caused alarm and dissension at court. On New Year's Day 1772, Marie Antoinette deigned to speak to Jeanne. Her remark, "There are many people at Versailles today," was enough to take the edge off the dispute, though many still disapproved of Jeanne. Decades later, during the Reign of Terror in the French Revolution, Jeanne was imprisoned over accusations of treason by her slave Zamore. She was executed by guillotine on December 8, 1793. Her body was buried in the Madeleine Cemetery. The fabulous gems which she had smuggled to London were sold at auction in 1795. The execution of King Louis XVI. Queen Marie Antoinette's execution on October 16, 1793. The execution of Maximilien Robespierre, the person who had just been executed in this drawing, is Georges Couthon. April 20, 1897 public execution by guillotine in front of the prison of Lons-le-Saunier. The man about to be beheaded, Pierre Veillat, robbed and killed 2 elder siblings on Christmas Day 1896. He was convicted of his crimes on March 9, 1897. A retouched photo of the execution of Langeville in 1905 with foreground figures painted in over the original photo. 24, 80 for Brady 2023. 80 for Brady is a 2023 American sports comedy film directed by Kyle Marvin in his directorial debut from a screenplay by Sarah Haskins and Emily Halpern, and produced by former NFL quarterback Tom Brady. 80 for Brady was released theatrically in the United States on February 3, 2023 by Paramount Pictures. It received mixed reviews from critics and grossed $40 million worldwide against a $28 million budget. Inspired by a real-life group of Patriots fans known as the Over 80 for Brady Club. It focuses on 4 lifelong friends, played by Lily Tomlin, Jane Fonda, Rita Moreno, and Sally Field, who travel to watch Brady and his New England Patriots play in Super Bowl 51 in 2017. Billy Porter, Rob Corddry, Alex Moffat, and Guy Fieri also star. For years, the club Over 80 for Brady consisted of Betty Pensaval, Elaine St. Martin, Anita Riccio, Pat Marks, and Claire Boardman. Today, Pensaval and St. Martin are 94 and 95 years old respectively and have been friends for 72 years. Boardman passed away last year, and Riccio and Marks now live in an assisted living facility. But the memories of the years the group spent watching football together remain a bright spot for both Pensaval and St. Martin. The Tom Brady movie captures a similar spirit of friendship. Game days became the link that kept their friendship from fumbling. They took turns getting together at each other's houses. One Sunday here, one Sunday at my house, Elaine St. Martin told CBS. It would through the 5 of us. Betty Pensaval told the Sun Chronicle that the fan club didn't gather when the Patriots played night games because the games were too late. Still, the ladies got together so often that they were given the nickname the Over 80 for Brady fan club. The 80 for Brady real story confirms that they could be heard shouting at the TV, though in real life they did not curse. Betty Pensaval's grandson, Max Gross, even created matching t-shirts for them. In real life, the Over 80 for Brady fan club never made it to a Super Bowl like their Hollywood counterparts. But that doesn't matter so much to Pensaval and St. Martin, who say they never expected this kind of notoriety at their age. Though the movie is about 4 friends going to the Super Bowl, the main thing you need to take away from this is that having good friends is very precious, St. Martin says. Even at 95 I can say, life is short. Too short for arguments and holding grudges. Be kind to others and kindness will find you. Betty and I have been friends for 72 years with never a harsh word. 25. Killers of the Flower Moon 2023. Killers of the Flower Moon is a 2023 American epic western crime drama film co-written, produced and directed by Martin Scorsese. Eric Roth and Scorsese based their screenplay on the 2017 non-fiction book by David Grann. Set in 1920s Oklahoma, it focuses on a series of murders of Osage members and relations in the Osage Nation after oil was discovered on tribal land. The tribal members had retained mineral rights on their reservation, but a corrupt local political boss sought to steal the wealth. It is the 6th feature film collaboration between Scorsese and DiCaprio, the 10th between Scorsese and De Niro, and the first between Scorsese and both actors overall. They previously all collaborated on the 2015 short film The Audition, and the 11th and final between Scorsese and composer Robbie Robertson, who died 2 months prior to the film's release. The film is dedicated to Robertson. The film was produced by Scorsese's Sicilia Productions and DiCaprio's Appian Way Productions with its $200 to $215 million budget, reportedly the largest amount ever spent on a film shoot in Oklahoma. Killers of the Flower Moon premiered at the 76th Cannes Film Festival on May 20, 2023. It was theatrically released in the United States on October 20, 2023, by Paramount Pictures and Apple Original Films. The film grossed $157 million worldwide and received critical acclaim, with praise for Scorsese's direction, the screenplay, production values, editing, cinematography, musical score and cast performances, especially DiCaprio, Gladstone and De Niro, although it received minor criticism for its runtime. It won Best Film at the National Board of Review and was named one of the top 10 films of 2023 by the American Film Institute. It was also nominated for 10 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, 7 Golden Globe Awards, including Best Motion Picture, Drama, and with Gladstone winning Best Actress, 9 British Academy Film Awards, and 3 SAG Awards, with Gladstone winning Best Actress. The Osage Indian murders were a series of murders of Osage in Osage County, Oklahoma during the 1910-1930s. Newspapers described the increasing number of unsolved murders and deaths among young adults as the Reign of Terror. Most took place from 1921 to 1926. Some 60 or more wealthy, full-blood Osage persons were reported killed from 1918 to 1931. Newer investigations indicate that other suspicious deaths during this time could have been misreported or covered-up murders, including those of individuals who were heirs to future fortunes. Further research has shown that the death toll may have been in the hundreds. The tribe had retained mineral rights to the land of their reservation. Each tribal member had what were known as head rights to the mineral rights on communal land. When valuable oil was found on their land and leases were sold for oil production, each member with head rights was paid a share of the lucrative annual royalties for leases by oil companies. In 1906 and subsequent years, United States Congress passed a series of laws, ostensibly intended to help the Osage retain their wealth, that created a system of guardianship for minors and incompetents, as determined by and under the jurisdiction of Oklahoma's local county probate courts. Some of the murders were committed in order for whites to take over the head rights of Osage members when inheriting property after deaths. The Osage found minimal assistance from local law enforcement to investigate the deaths, as it was dominated by powerful whites working in their own interests. Later investigation, including that of the Bureau of Investigation, BOI, the precursor to the Federal Bureau of Investigation, revealed extensive corruption among local officials involved in the Osage Guardian program, including lawyers and judges. Most of the murders were never prosecuted. Nevertheless, several perpetrators were convicted of murder, including William Hale, a powerful rancher who ordered the murders of his nephew's wife and other members of her family to gain control of their head rights and oil wealth. 2 other perpetrators implicated with Hale, Henry Grammer and Asa Kirby, died under suspicious circumstances during the BOI investigation. Several others involved were convicted of lesser charges, such as perjury, witness tampering, and contempt of court, for attempting to impede the investigation. In 1925, the U.S. Congress changed the law to prohibit non-Osage from inheriting head rights from Osage with half or more Native American ancestry, in an effort to protect the Osage. The U.S. government continued to manage the leases and royalties from oil-producing lands. Over decades, the tribe became increasingly concerned about these assets. In 2000, the Osage Nation filed a suit against the Department of the Interior, alleging that it had not adequately managed the assets and paid people the royalties they were due. The suit was settled in 2011 for $380 million and commitments to improve program management. 26. Lee 2023. Lee is a 2023 British biographical drama film directed by Ellen Curris in her feature directorial debut, adapted from the 1985 biography The Lives of Lee Miller by Anthony Penrose. It stars Kate Winslet as war journalist Lee Miller. The movie took 8 years to make and, at one point, due to precarious funding, Kate Winslet, who also produced the movie, paid the entire cast and crew's salaries for 2 weeks. The film made its world premiere at the Toronto International Film Festival on September 9, 2023. It will be released theatrically in the United Kingdom by Sky Cinema on September 13, 2024. Elizabeth Lee Miller, Lady Penrose, April 23, 1907 to July 21, 1977, was an American photographer and photojournalist. Miller was a fashion model in New York City in the 1920s before going to Paris, becoming a fashion and fine art photographer there. During World War II, she was a war correspondent for Vogue, covering events such as the London Blitz, the liberation of Paris, and the concentration camps at Buchenwald and Dachau. Her reputation as an artist in her own right is due mostly to the fact her son discovered and promoted her work as a fashion and war photographer. Miller was born in Poughkeepsie, New York. Miller's father Theodore always favored Lee, and often used her as a model for his amateur photography. When she was 7 years old, Lee was raped while staying with a family friend in Brooklyn and was infected with gonorrhea. In her childhood, Miller experienced issues in her formal education, being expelled from almost every school she attended while living in the Poughkeepsie area. In 1925 at 18 Miller moved to Paris where she studied lighting, costume, and design at the Ladislas Meji School of Stagecraft. She returned to New York in 1926 and joined an experimental drama program at Vassar College. Miller's father introduced her and her brothers to photography at an early age. She was his model. He took many stereoscopic photographs of his new teenage daughter, and showed her technical aspects of the art. At 19 she nearly stepped in front of a car on a Manhattan street but was prevented by Condé Nast, the publisher of Vogue. This incident helped launch her modeling career. She appeared in a blue hat and pearls in a drawing by George Lepate on the cover of Vogue on March 15, 1927. Miller's look was what Vogue's then editor-in-chief Edna Woolman Chase was looking for to represent the emerging idea of the modern girl. For the next 2 years, Miller was one of the most sought-after models in New York, photographed by leading fashion photographers. 4 of her photographs, Egypt, 1939, Romania, 1938, Libya, 1939 and Sinai, 1939, were displayed at the Zwemer Gallery's 1940 exhibition Surrealism Today. The Museum of Modern Art, MoMA, included her work in the exhibition Britain at War in New York City in 1941. No other exhibition would include her photographs until 1955 when she was included in the renowned The Family of Man exhibition curated by Edward Steichen, director of the MoMA Department of Photography. At the war's end, Miller's work as a wartime photojournalist continued as she sent telegrams back to the British Vogue editor, Audrey Withers, urging her to publish photographs from the camps. She did this following a CBS broadcast from Buchenwald. After returning to Britain from Central Europe, Miller suffered severe episodes of clinical depression and what later became known as post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. She began to drink heavily and became uncertain about her future. Miller died of cancer at Farley Farmhouse in 1977 aged 70. She was cremated and her ashes were spread through her herb garden at Farley. 27. Little Girl Blue 2023. Little Girl Blue is a 2023 biographical docudrama film written and directed by Mona Achash based on the life of her mother, the writer and photographer Carol Achash, starring Marion Cotillard as Carol Achash and Mona Achash as herself. The film is a co-production between France and Belgium and had its world premiere at the 2023 Cannes Film Festival in the special screening section on May 21, 2023, where it competed for the Golden Eye and was well received by critics. The title comes from the song of the same name written by Richard Rodgers and Lorenz Hart. The film was released theatrically in France by Tandem on November 15, 2023 and in Belgium by Galleries Distribution on April 3, 2024. Little Girl Blue received 3 nominations at the 2024 César Awards, Best Documentary Film, Best Editing, and Best Actress for Cotillard, becoming the first actress to be nominated for a documentary. The film had its world premiere at the 2023 Cannes Film Festival in the special screenings section on May 21, 2023, where it competed for the Golden Eye and earned a standing ovation at the end of its screening. Carol Helene Martha André Achash, May 31, 1952 to March 1, 2016, was a French writer, photographer, and actress. She appeared in films such as The Gypsy 1975, Special Section 1975, Lumiere 1976, Mr. Klein 1976, Le Joug Fayard dit Le Sheriff 1977 and Death of a Corrupt Man 1977 under the name Carol Lang. She later worked as a still photographer in the films Other People's Money 1978, A Week's Vacation 1980, The Trout 1982 and Un Soir au Club 2009. As an author, Achash published 5 books. Achash was born in Paris, France. She was the daughter of French writer Monique Lang and of French science historian Jean-Jacques Salomon, who left her mother when Achash was a child. Her mother was born Jewish and later converted to Catholicism. Her maternal grandfather, Robert Lang, was a French journalist and politician. American writer William Faulkner was her godfather. Spanish writer Juan Guidasolo was her stepfather. When Achash was a child, she was abused by French writer Jean Genet, who was a friend of her mother. The abuse led her to drug use and prostitution between Paris and New York in the 1970s. In 2002, Achash published her first novel Indienne de Cortés, English, Cortés Indian Woman, about La Malinche, a Nahua woman who accompanied Spanish conquistador Hernán Cortés throughout his conquest of the Aztec Empire and later became his mistress. Her second novel, La Plage de Trouville, English, Trouville Beach, was published in 2008 and follows the story of the painting of the same name by Jacques Moigny, which belonged to Achash's family and was stolen by the Nazis around 1943. In 2011 Achash published Fille de, English, Daughter of, about her relationship with her mother. Achash also published 2 photography books, Chantiers en Cours, English, Work in Progress, in 2004 and Des Fleurs, English, Flowers, in 2006. Achash died in Paris on March 1, 2016 at the age of 63. Her death was ruled as suicide by hanging. 28. The Man Who Stood in the Way 2023. The Man Who Stood in the Way is a 2023 Czech historical drama film directed by Petr Nikolijev. The film focuses on František Křígl, the only political leader who, during the Warsaw Pact invasion of Czechoslovakia, declined to sign the Moscow Protocol. It is based on a novel by Ivan Fila of the same name. Fila was originally set to direct the film. František Křígl, April 10, 1908 to December 3, 1979, was a Czechoslovak politician, physician, and a member of the Communist Party reform wing of the Prague Spring 1968. He was the only one of the political leaders who during the Warsaw Pact invasion of Czechoslovakia declined to sign the Moscow Protocol. The František Křígl Award is granted annually to a person who has fought for human rights. It was founded in Stockholm in 1987 and is funded by the Charter 77 Fund. In August 2014, the City Council of Prague II municipality refused to grant him an honorary citizenship. Warsaw Pact invasion of Czechoslovakia. On 20 to 21 August 1968, the Czechoslovak Socialist Republic was jointly invaded by four Warsaw Pact countries: the Soviet Union, the Polish People's Republic, the People's Republic of Bulgaria, and the Hungarian People's Republic. The invasion stopped Alexander Dubček's Prague Spring liberalization reforms and strengthened the authoritarian wing of the Communist Party of Czechoslovakia, KS. About 250,000 Warsaw Pact troops, afterwards rising to about 500,000 supported by thousands of tanks and hundreds of aircraft, participated in the overnight operation, which was codenamed Operation Danube. The Socialist Republic of Romania and the People's Republic of Albania refused to participate, while East German forces, except for a small number of specialists, were ordered by Moscow not to cross the Czechoslovak border just hours before the invasion because of fears of greater resistance if German troops were involved, due to public perception of the previous German occupation 3 decades earlier. 137 Czechoslovaks were killed and 500 seriously wounded during the occupation. The invasion started a series of events that would ultimately pressure Brezhnev to establish a state of détente with U.S. President Richard Nixon in 1972, just months after the latter's historic visit to the PRC. Moscow Protocol. Officially, Protocol of the negotiations of the SSR and USSR delegations was a document signed by Czechoslovak political leaders in Moscow, after the Prague Spring. The negotiations took place from 23 to August 26, 1968. The main signatories were President Ludvík Svoboda, First Secretary of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of Czechoslovakia Alexander Dubček, Prime Minister Oldřich Černík, Chairman of the National Assembly Josef Smrkovský, and most of the ministers and Communist Party leaders, Gustav Husak among them. The only person present at the negotiations who declined to sign was František Křígl. The document included among its many expectations promises to protect socialism in Czechoslovakia, to act upon the promises made in the Bratislava Declaration, to denounce the 14th Party Congress and its resolutions, to restrain critical Czechoslovak media, and to reject any interference in the Eastern Bloc by the United Nations Security Council. 29. Miranda's Victim 2023. Miranda's Victim is a 2023 American period drama film directed by Michelle Danner. It is based on the life of Patricia Trish Weir, who was kidnapped and raped by Ernesto Miranda in 1963. The film also depicts the origin of the Miranda warning. It was released by Vertical Entertainment in the United States on October 6, 2023. Miranda's Victim had its world premiere at the Santa Barbara International Film Festival on Wednesday, February 8, 2023 at the Arlington Theater in Santa Barbara, California. Ernesto Arturo Miranda, March 9, 1941 to January 31, 1976, was an American laborer whose criminal conviction was set aside in the landmark U.S. Supreme Court case Miranda v. Arizona, which ruled that criminal suspects must be informed of their right against self-incrimination and their right to consult with an attorney before being questioned by police. This warning is known as a Miranda warning. Miranda had been convicted of kidnapping, rape and armed robbery charges based on his confession under police interrogation. After the Supreme Court decision invalidated Miranda's initial conviction, the state of Arizona tried him again. At the second trial, with his confession excluded from evidence, he was convicted. He was sentenced to 20 to 30 years in prison. On January 31, 1976, Miranda was stabbed to death in Phoenix, Arizona. He was 34. Several Miranda cards were found on his person. Miranda was buried in the City of Mesa Cemetery in Mesa, Arizona. The person suspected of handing the knife to the man who murdered Miranda invoked his Fifth Amendment rights and refused to talk to police. He was released and was not charged in Miranda's murder. The man suspected of murdering Miranda, then 23-year-old Ezequiel Moreno Perez, was formally charged with murder on February 4, 1976. However, he has never been apprehended as he fled to Mexico following the murder and has never been found. 30. NYAD 2023. NYAD is a 2023 American biographical sports drama film about swimmer Diana NYAD's multiple attempts in the early 2010s to swim the Straits of Florida, with flashbacks to her early life. It is directed by Elizabeth Chai Vasarhelyi and Jimmy Chin, in their feature narrative film directorial debut, and written by Julia Cox, based on NYAD's 2015 memoir Find a Way. It stars Annette Bening as NYAD, with Jodie Foster and Rhys Ifans in supporting roles. NYAD had its world premiere at the 50th Telluride Film Festival on September 1, 2023. It was released in select theaters on October 20, 2023, then streamed on Netflix on November 3. The film received positive reviews from critics with particular praise for the performances of Bening and Foster. For their performances, Bening and Foster received nominations for Best Actress and Best Supporting Actress, respectively at the 96th Academy Awards, the 81st Golden Globe Awards and the 30th Screen Actors Guild Awards. Diana NYAD, born August 22, 1949, is an American author, journalist, motivational speaker, and long-distance swimmer. NYAD gained national attention in 1975 when she swam around Manhattan, 28 miles or 45 kilometers, in record time, and in 1979 when she swam from Bimini, the Bahamas to Juno Beach, Florida, 102 miles or 164 kilometers. She has written 4 books and articles for various publications, hosted the public radio program The Savvy Traveler, appeared on the television shows CBS News Sunday Morning and Dancing with the Stars, and been a longtime contributor to the public radio programs All Things Considered and Marketplace. In 2013, on her 5th attempt and at age 64, she claims to have swum from Havana, Cuba, to Key West, Florida, a journey of 110 miles, 180 kilometers, allegedly completing the 3rd known swim crossing of the Florida Straits after Walter Ponish in 1978 and Susie Maroney in 1997. Both of those earlier efforts involved a shark cage and, in Ponish's case, fins and several short rests on his escort craft. NYAD used a protective jellyfish suit, shark divers and electronic shark repellent devices, and claimed to have achieved an unassisted swim. Her crossing from Cuba to Florida was not conducted under the supervision of an organized sporting association, and ratification of the accomplishment was later denied by the World Open Water Swimming Association (WOWSA) for various reasons, including incomplete observer logs with a 9-hour undocumented gap in observations, conflicting crew reports, nearly a decade of delay in providing documentation to seek formal ratification, dubious claims about the rules followed for the swim, and backdated and falsified documentation. Guinness World Records initially certified NYAD's achievement but revoked its certification after considering the findings by WOWSA. 31. One Life 2023. One Life is a 2023 biographical drama film directed by James Hawes. Based on the true story of British humanitarian Nicholas Winton, the film alternates between following Anthony Hopkins as a 79-year-old Winton reminiscing on his past and Johnny Flynn as a 29-year-old Winton attempting to help groups of Jewish children in German-occupied Czechoslovakia to hide and flee in 1938-39. Just before the beginning of World War II. Helena Bonham Carter, Lena Olin, Romola Garai, Alex Sharp and Jonathan Pryce co-star in supporting roles. One Life had its world premiere at the Toronto International Film Festival on September 9, 2023 and its European premiere at the 2023 London Film Festival. It was released in the United Kingdom on January 1, 2024 by Warner Bros. Pictures and later in the United States on March 15, 2024 by Bleecker Street. The film received mostly positive reviews, with praise for the performances of the cast, particularly Hopkins and Bonham Carter. Sir Nicholas George Winton, May 19, 1909 to July 1, 2015 was a British stockbroker and humanitarian who helped to rescue Jewish children who were at risk of being murdered by Nazi Germany during the Holocaust. Born to German Jewish parents who had immigrated to Britain at the beginning of the 20th century, Winton assisted in the rescue of 669 children, most of them Jewish, from Czechoslovakia on the eve of World War II. On a brief visit to Czechoslovakia, he helped compile a list of children needing rescue and, returning to Britain, he worked to fulfill the legal requirements of bringing the children to Britain and finding homes and sponsors for them. This operation was later known as the Czech Kindertransport, German for Children's Transport. His humanitarian accomplishments remained unknown and unnoticed by the world for nearly 50 years until 1988 when he was invited to the BBC television program That's Life, where he was reunited with dozens of the children he had helped come to Britain and was introduced to many of their children and grandchildren. The British press celebrated him and dubbed him the British Schindler. In 2003, Winton was knighted by Queen Elizabeth II for services to humanity in saving Jewish children from Nazi-occupied Czechoslovakia. In 2014, he was awarded the highest honor of the Czech Republic, the Order of the White Lion, First Class, by Czech President Miloš Zeman. Winton died in 2015 aged 106. 32, 2018, 2023. 2018 subtitled On Screen as Everyone is a Hero is a 2023 Indian Malayalam language disaster film based on the severe 2018 Kerala floods that devastated Kerala. Inspired by 2012, the film was announced on October 16, 2018 by Jude Anthony Joseph. Principal photography commenced on May 27, 2022. The film was shot in different parts of Kerala as well as Tirunelveli and Hyderabad. The filming was wrapped up on November 13, 2022. The film received generally positive reviews and became a huge commercial success in the box office, grossing around 176 Indian rupees crore, $21 million at the box office to emerge as the highest-grossing Malayalam film of all time, until it was surpassed by Manjumal Boys. On September 27, 2023, the film was chosen by the Film Federation of India as India's official entry for Best International Feature Film at the 96th Academy Awards. It became the fourth Malayalam film after Guru in 1997, Adamant Makan Abu 2011 and Jalakata 2019 to be selected as India's official submission for the Academy Awards, although it failed to make the cut. It was featured in the 54th IFFI Indian Panorama mainstream section. On August 16, 2018, severe floods affected the South Indian state Kerala due to unusually heavy rainfall during the monsoon season. It was the worst flood in Kerala in nearly a century. Over 483 people died and 15 went missing. About 10 million people were evacuated. All 14 districts of the state were placed on red alert. According to the Kerala government, 1/6 of the total population of Kerala had been directly affected by the floods and related incidents. The Indian government had declared it a level 3 calamity or calamity of a severe nature. It is the worst flood in Kerala after the Great Flood of '99 that took place in 1924. 35 out of the 54 dams within the state were opened for the first time in history. All 5 overflow gates of the Idukki Dam were opened at the same time. For the first time in 26 years, 5 gates of the Malampuzha Dam of Palakkad were opened. Heavy rains in Wayanad and Idukki caused severe landslides and had left the hilly districts isolated. 33. Origin 2023. Origin is a 2023 American biographical drama film written and directed by Ava DuVernay. It is based on the life of Isabel Wilkerson, played by Anjana Ellis Taylor, as she writes the book Caste, The Origins of Our Discontents. Over the course of the film, Wilkerson travels throughout Germany, India, and the United States to research the caste systems in each country's history. Origin premiered in competition at the 80th Venice International Film Festival on September 6, 2023, and began a limited theatrical release on January 19, 2024 by Neon. The film received positive reviews from critics. Origin had a qualifying run December 8 to 10, 2023, grossing $117,063 from 2 theaters. The $58,531 per venue average was the 4th best of the year. In its official opening weekend January 19 to 21, 2024, the film made $826,235 from 125 theaters. It expanded to 664 theaters the following weekend, making $1.3 million. Isabel Wilkerson, born 1961, is an American journalist and the author of The Warmth of Other Suns, The Epic Story of America's Great Migration 2010 and Caste, The Origins of Our Discontents 2020. She is the first woman of African American heritage to win the Pulitzer Prize in journalism. Wilkerson was the editor-in-chief of the Howard University College newspaper, interned at the Los Angeles Times and Washington Post, and became the Chicago bureau chief of the New York Times. She also taught at Emory University, Princeton University, Northwestern University, and Boston University. Wilkerson interviewed over 1,000 people for The Warmth of Other Suns, which documents the stories of African Americans who migrated to northern and western cities during the 20th century. Her book Caste describes the racial hierarchy in the United States as a caste system. 34. Priscilla 2023. Priscilla is a 2023 American biographical drama film written, directed, and produced by Sofia Coppola, based on the 1985 memoir Elvis and Me by Priscilla Presley, who serves as an executive producer, and Sandra Harmon. It follows the life of Priscilla, played by Kelly Spaney, and her complicated romantic relationship with Elvis Presley, Jacob Elordi. Priscilla premiered at the 80th Venice International Film Festival on September 4, 2023, and was released in the United States by A24 in select theaters on October 27, 2023, before expanding wide on November 3, 2023. It received generally positive reviews from critics and grossed $33 million worldwide. For her performance, Spaney received a Best Actress nomination at the Golden Globe Awards. Elvis and Me, the true story of the love between Priscilla Presley and the King of Rock and Roll, is a 1985 memoir written by Priscilla Presley with Sandra Harmon. In the book, Priscilla talks about meeting Elvis Presley, their marriage, and the factors and issues that led to the couple's divorce. The book adaptation rights were purchased in 1987. Priscilla Ann Presley, formerly Beaulieu, born May 24, 1945, is an American businesswoman and actress. She is the ex-wife of American singer Elvis Presley, as well as the co-founder and former chairperson of Elvis Presley Enterprises, EPE, the company that turned Graceland into one of the top tourist attractions in the United States. In her acting career, Presley co-starred with Leslie Nielsen in the Naked Gun film trilogy and played Jenna Wade on the long-running television series Dallas. In May 1967, the couple were married in a small ceremony in Las Vegas. In February 1968, Priscilla Presley gave birth to their only child, Lisa Marie Presley. Along with Graceland, the family had 3 homes in Southern California, where the singer's film career was winding down. The couple grew apart, leading to their separation in 1972. They divorced in 1973. Career and afterlife. After the divorce, Priscilla Presley pursued her own projects and interests. Notably, she opened a boutique clothing store in Los Angeles called Bis & Beau with fashion designer Olivia Bis. She remained friendly with her ex-husband and they shared custody of their daughter until his death in 1977. Upon his death, his estate was left to his father, Vernon Presley, who was also named executor, his grandmother Minnie Mae Presley, and his daughter, who was 9 years old at the time. After Vernon Presley's death in 1979 followed by Minnie Mae Presley's death in 1980, the executorship passed to Priscilla Presley to oversee until her daughter turned 25 years old. Priscilla Presley was named one of 3 trustees, along with the Presley family's accountant and local bank. At the time of Elvis Presley's death, the estate was worth about $5 million with taxes cutting deeply into earnings. Within 10 years the trustees rebuilt its worth to more than $75 million. Priscilla Presley made the crucial decision to open Graceland to the public in 1982. She also pursued an acting career with memorable roles on the popular television series Dallas 1983-88 and in all 3 of the Naked Gun comedy films 1988, 1991 and 1994 opposite co-star Leslie Nielsen. In 1985 she published a best-selling memoir, Elvis and Me, which was adapted into a television movie in 1988. In 1987 she had a son Navarone, with her longtime partner, screenwriter Marco Garibaldi. Presley worked as a film and television producer on various projects about her ex-husband, including the documentary film Elvis Presley, The Searcher 2018 and the animated Netflix series Agent Elvis 2023. She also served as an executive producer on Priscilla 2023. 35. Rustin 2023. Rustin is a 2023 American biographical drama film directed by George C. Wolfe from a screenplay by Julian Brees and Dustin Lance Black and a story by Brees about the life of civil rights activist Bayard Rustin. Produced by Barack and Michelle Obama's production company Higher Ground. It is based on the true story of Rustin, who helped Martin Luther King Jr. and others organize the 1963 March on Washington. Rustin premiered at the Telluride Film Festival on August 31, 2023 and was screened at the Toronto International Film Festival on September 13, 2023. The film received a limited theatrical release on November 3, 2023 before being released on Netflix on November 17. The film received generally positive reviews with Domingo's performance garnering numerous accolades including nominations for the Academy Award, BAFTA Award, Golden Globe Award, and SAG Award for Best Actor. Bayard Rustin March 17, 1912 to August 24, 1987 was an American political activist, a prominent leader in social movements for civil rights, socialism, nonviolence and gay rights. Rustin was the principal organizer of the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom in 1963. Rustin worked in 1941 with a Philip Randolph on the March on Washington movement to press for an end to racial discrimination in the military and defense employment. Rustin later organized Freedom Rides and helped to organize the Southern Christian Leadership Conference to strengthen Martin Luther King Jr.'s leadership. He taught King about nonviolence. Rustin worked alongside Ella Baker, a co-director of the Crusade for Citizenship in 1954, and before the Montgomery bus boycott, he helped organize a group called In Friendship to provide material and legal assistance to people threatened with eviction from their tenant farms and homes. Rustin became the head of the AFL-CIO's Philip Randolph Institute, which promoted the integration of formerly all-white unions and promoted the unionization of African Americans. During the 1970s and 1980s, Rustin served on many humanitarian missions, such as aiding refugees from Vietnam and Cambodia. Rustin was a gay man and, due to criticism over his sexuality, usually advised other civil rights leaders from behind the scenes. During the 1980s he became a public advocate on behalf of gay causes, speaking at events as an activist and supporter of human rights. Later in life, while still devoted to securing workers' rights, Rustin joined other union leaders in aligning with ideological neoconservatism, earning posthumous praise from President Ronald Reagan. On November 20, 2013, President Barack Obama posthumously awarded Rustin the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Rustin died on August 24, 1987 of a perforated appendix. 36. Seneca, on the Creation of Earthquakes 2023. Seneca, on the Creation of Earthquakes, German, Seneca, oder, Über die Geburt von Erdbeben, is a 2023 German-Moroccan historical drama dark comedy film directed by Robert Schwentke, starring John Malkovich as Seneca. The film is about the last days of the ancient philosopher Lucius Annaeus Seneca and the beginnings of Emperor Nero's despotic regime in ancient Rome. The film marks one of Julian Sands' final roles, being released following his disappearance in the San Gabriel Mountains in January 2023 and prior to the discovery of his body. The movie was selected at the 73rd Berlin International Film Festival in Berlinale Special Gala, where it had its world premiere on February 20, 2023. It was released in cinemas on March 23, 2023. Lucius Annaeus Seneca the Younger, 4 BC, AD 65, usually known mononymously as Seneca, was a Stoic philosopher of ancient Rome, a statesman, dramatist, and in one word, satirist, from the post-Augustan age of Latin literature. Seneca was born in Colonia Patricia Corduba in Hispania, and was trained in rhetoric and philosophy in Rome. His father was Seneca the Elder, his elder brother was Lucius Junius Gallio Aeneanus, and his nephew was the poet Lucan. In AD 41, Seneca was exiled to the island of Corsica under Emperor Claudius, but was allowed to return in 49 to become a tutor to Nero. When Nero became emperor in 54, Seneca became his advisor and, together with the Praetorian prefect Sextus Afranius Burrus, provided competent government for the first 5 years of Nero's reign. Seneca's influence over Nero declined with time, and in 65 Seneca was forced to take his own life for alleged complicity in the Pisonian conspiracy to assassinate Nero, of which he was probably innocent. His stoic and calm suicide has become the subject of numerous paintings. As a tragedian he is best known for plays such as his Medea, Thyestes, and Phaedra. Seneca had an immense influence on later generations. During the Renaissance he was a sage admired and venerated as an oracle of moral, even of Christian edification, a master of literary style and a model for dramatic art. As a writer, works attributed to Seneca include 12 philosophical essays, 124 letters dealing with moral issues, 9 tragedies, and a satire, the attribution of which is disputed. These writings constitute one of the most important bodies of primary material for ancient Stoicism. His authorship of Hercules on Ida has also been questioned. As a major philosophical figure of the Roman imperial period, Seneca's lasting contribution to philosophy has been to the school of Stoicism. His writing is highly accessible and was the subject of attention from the Renaissance onwards by writers such as Michel de Montaigne. He has been described as a towering and controversial figure of antiquity and the world's most interesting Stoic. Death. In AD 65 Seneca was caught up in the aftermath of the Pisonian conspiracy, a plot to kill Nero. Although it is unlikely that Seneca was part of the conspiracy, Nero ordered him to kill himself. Seneca followed tradition by severing several veins in order to bleed to death, and his wife Pompeia Paulina attempted to share his fate. Cassius Dio, who wished to emphasize the relentlessness of Nero, focused on how Seneca had attended to his last-minute letters, and how his death was hastened by soldiers. 37. Sisi I 2023. Sisi I German. Sisi and Ich is a 2023 historical black comedy film directed by Frank Finsterwalder, who co-wrote the screenplay with Christian Kracht. It tells a fictionalized story of Empress Elizabeth of Austria from the point of view of her lady-in-waiting, Irma Stare. The film is an international co-production between Germany, Switzerland and Austria. Sisi I made its world premiere in the Panorama section of the 2023 Berlin Film Festival on February 19, 2023. It was released theatrically in Austria by Panda Film, and in Germany and Switzerland by DCM on March 30, 2023. Finsterwalder won the 2023 Bavarian Film Award for Best Director for the film. It also received 4 nominations for the 2023 German Film Award, including Best Actress for Sandra Hüller, and won the award for Best Costume Design. The film also received the Austrian Film Award for Best Costume Design in 2024. Elizabeth, born Duchess Elizabeth Amalie Eugenie in Bavaria, December 24, 1837 to September 10, 1898, nicknamed Sisi or Sisi, was Empress of Austria and Queen of Hungary from her marriage to Emperor Franz Joseph I on April 24, 1854 until her assassination in 1898. Elizabeth was born into the ducal royal branch of the Bavarian House of Wittelsbach but enjoyed an informal upbringing before marrying her first cousin, Emperor Franz Joseph I at 16. The marriage thrust her into the much more formal Habsburg court life for which she was unprepared and which she found suffocating. Early in the marriage, she was at odds with her mother-in-law, who was also her maternal aunt Archduchess Sophie, who took over the rearing of Elizabeth's daughters, one of whom, Sophie, died in infancy. The birth of a son, Crown Prince Rudolph, improved Elizabeth's standing at court, but her health suffered under the strain. As a result, she would often visit Hungary for its more relaxed environment. She came to develop a deep kinship with Hungary and helped to bring about the dual monarchy of Austria-Hungary in 1867. The death of Elizabeth's only son and his mistress Mary Vetsera in a murder-suicide at his hunting lodge at Mayerling in 1889 was a blow from which the Empress never recovered. She withdrew from court duties and traveled widely, unaccompanied by her family. In 1890 she had the Palace Achillaion built on the Greek island of Corfu. The palace featured an elaborate mythological motif and served as a refuge, which Elizabeth visited often. She was obsessively concerned with maintaining her youthful figure and beauty, developing a restrictive diet and wearing extremely tight-laced corsets to keep her waist looking very small. While traveling in Geneva in 1898, Elizabeth was fatally stabbed in the heart by an Italian anarchist named Luigi Lucchini. Her tenure of 44 years was the longest of any Austrian empress. Empress Elizabeth and Emperor Franz Joseph. Equestrian portrait of Elizabeth at Possenhofen Castle, age 15, 1853. Engraving depicting the Hungarian royal family at Gallows Palace, 1870. Empress Elizabeth with her 2 children and a portrait of the late Archduchess Sophie Friedrich, 1858. The Imperial Hunting Lodge at Mayerling, in which Crown Prince Rudolph died by suicide in 1889. Elizabeth's desk at the Achillaion in Corfu. The funeral procession in Vienna, September 17, 1898. Empress Elizabeth's tomb next to that of her husband Franz Joseph in Vienna's Imperial Crypt. On the other side of Franz Joseph's tomb is that of their son, Crown Prince Rudolph. 38. Woman of the Hour 2023. Woman of the Hour is a 2023 American period crime drama film directed by Anna Kendrick in her directorial debut and written by Ian McAllister MacDonald. It is based on the life of serial killer Rodney Alcala, who in 1978 appeared on the television show The Dating Game in the midst of his murder spree. The film revolves around the events of the game show and stars Kendrick as contestant Cheryl Bradshaw. A biographical film about Alcala's life titled Dating Game Killer was directed by Peter Medic and broadcast on the American television network Investigation Discovery, produced December 3, 2017. In 2021, Netflix announced a biographical film, Rodney and Cheryl, directed by and starring Anna Kendrick, which depicts the story of Alcala's appearance on the dating game in the midst of his killing spree. The title was later changed to Woman of the Hour. On November 3, 2022, a three-part television documentary about Alcala was released. Rodney James Alcala, born Rodrigo Jacques Alcala Bucher, August 23, 1943 to July 24, 2021, was an American serial killer and sex offender who was sentenced to death in California for 5 murders committed between 1977 and 1979. He also pleaded guilty and received a sentence of 25 years to life for 2 further murders committed in New York, and was also indicted with a murder in Wyoming, although charges were dropped due to a technicality. While he has been conclusively linked to 8 murders, Alcala's true number of victims remains unknown and could be much higher. The actual number could be as high as 130. Alcala compiled a collection of more than 1,000 photographs of women, teenage girls and boys, many in sexually explicit poses. In 2016, he was charged with the 1977 murder of a woman identified in one of his photos. Alcala is known to have assaulted one other photographic subject, and police have speculated that others could be rape or murder victims as well. Prosecutors have said that Alcala toyed with his victims, strangling them until they lost consciousness, then waiting until they revived, sometimes repeating this process several times before finally killing them. One police detective described Alcala as a killing machine, and others have compared him to Ted Bundy. Alcala is often referred to as the dating game killer because of his 1978 appearance on the television show The Dating Game in the midst of his murder spree. He died of unspecified natural causes in 2021. 39. Ferrari 2023. Ferrari is a 2023 American biographical sports drama film directed by Michael Mann and written by Troy Kennedy Martin. Based on the 1991 biography Enzo Ferrari, The Man, The Cars, The Races, The Machine by motorsport journalist Brock Yates, the film follows the personal and professional struggles of Enzo Ferrari, the Italian founder of the car manufacturer Ferrari, during the summer of 1957 as Scuderia Ferrari prepares to compete in a 1957 Mille Miglia. Ferrari was selected to compete for the Golden Lion at the 80th Venice International Film Festival, premiering on August 31, 2023. The film was originally set to premiere on the streaming service Showtime, but it was eventually released in the United States theatrically on December 25, 2023 by Neon. Although the film received generally positive reviews from critics and was named one of the top 10 films of 2023 by the National Board of Review, it was a box office bomb, grossing only $43 million against a $95 million budget. Enzo Anselmo Giuseppe Maria Ferrari Cavalier di Gran Croce, February 18, 1898 to August 14, 1988, was an Italian motor racing driver and entrepreneur, the founder of the Scuderia Ferrari Grand Prix motor racing team, and subsequently of the Ferrari automobile marque. Under his leadership, Scuderia Ferrari won 9 Drivers' World Championships and 8 Constructors' World Championships in Formula 1 during his lifetime. He was widely known as Il Commendatore or Il Drake, a nickname given by British opponents in reference to the English privateer Francis Drake due to Ferrari's demonstrated ability and determination in achieving significant sports results with his small company. In his final years he was often referred to as L'Ingegnere, the engineer, Il Grande Vecchio, the grand old man, Il Cavalier, the knight, Il Mago, the wizard, and Il Patriarca, the patriarch. Drivers Enzo Ferrari first from left, Tazio Nuvolari fourth, and Achille Barzi sixth of Alfa Romeo, with Alfa Romeo managing director Prospero Gianferrari third at Col della Maddalena 1933. Final years. After Jody Scheckter won the title in 1979, the team experienced a disastrous 1980 campaign. In 1981, Ferrari attempted to revive his team's fortunes by switching to turbo engines. In 1982, the second turbo-powered Ferrari, the 126C2, showed great promise. However, driver Gilles Villeneuve was killed in an accident during the last session of free practice for the Belgian Grand Prix in Zolder in May. Alberto Ascari, left, Enzo Ferrari center, and Mike Hawthorne right in the box of the Monza circuit in 1953. In August, at Hockenheim, teammate Didier Pironi had his career cut short in a violent end-over-end flip on the misty back straight after hitting the Renault F1 driven by Alain Prost. Pironi was leading the Drivers' Championship at the time. He would lose the lead and the championship by 5 points as he sat out the remaining 5 races. The Scuderia went on to win the Constructors' Championship at the end of the season, and in 1983 with driver René Arnoux in contention for the championship until the very last race. Michele Alboreto finished second in 1985, but the team would not see championship glory again before Ferrari's death in 1988. The final race win Ferrari saw before his death was when Gerhard Berger and Alboreto scored a 1-2 finish at the final round of the 1987 season in Australia. Linda Christian kissing Alfonso de Portugal before the latter departed for his last part of the Mil Miglia race. The photo is popularly known as the Kiss of Death, Il Bacio della Morte. 40. Napoleon 2023. Napoleon is a 2023 epic historical drama film directed and co-produced by Ridley Scott and written by David Scarpa. Based on the story of Napoleon and primarily depicting his rise to power as well as his relationship with his wife Josephine, it stars Joaquin Phoenix as Napoleon and Vanessa Kirby as Josephine. In October 2020, Scott announced Napoleon as his next project. Following delays and recastings due to the COVID-19 pandemic, filming began in February 2022 in England, lasting several months. In addition to writer David Scarpa, frequent Scott collaborators included cinematographer Dariusz Wolski and editor Claire Simpson. Napoleon premiered at Sao Paulo in Paris on November 14, 2023 and was released in the United States and the United Kingdom on November 22, 2023 by Sony Pictures releasing Columbia Pictures, before streaming on Apple TV Plus on March 1, 2024. The film has grossed $221 million worldwide and received mixed reviews from critics, with praise for the battle sequences and performances, though it was criticized for its historical inaccuracies. At the 96th Academy Awards, the film received nominations for Best Production Design, Best Costume Design, and Best Visual Effects. Napoleon Bonaparte, born Napoleon D. Bonaparte, August 15, 1769 to May 5, 1821, later known by his regnal name Napoleon I, was a French military and political leader who rose to prominence during the French Revolution and led a series of successful campaigns across Europe during the Revolutionary Wars and Napoleonic Wars from 1796 to 1815. He was the leader of the French Republic as first consul from 1799 to 1804, then of the French Empire as Emperor of the French from 1804 to 1814, and briefly again in 1815. Napoleon is considered one of the greatest military commanders in history, and Napoleonic tactics are still studied at military schools worldwide. Napoleon married Josephine in 1796, but the marriage produced no children. Napoleon's marriage to Marie-Louise produced one child, Napoleon Francis Joseph Charles, Napoleon II, 1811 to 1832, known from birth as the King of Rome. Josephine Bonaparte, June 23, 1763 to May 29, 1814, was the first wife of Emperor Napoleon I and as such Empress of the French from May 18, 1804 until their marriage was annulled on January 10, 1810. As Napoleon's consort, she was also Queen of Italy from May 26, 1805 until the 1810 annulment. She is widely known as Josephine de Beauharnais. Josephine's marriage to Napoleon was her second. Her first husband, Alexander de Beauharnais, was guillotined during the Reign of Terror, and she was imprisoned in the Carmes prison until 5 days after his execution. Through her children by Beauharnais, she was the grandmother of Emperor Napoleon III of France and Empress Amélie of Brazil. Members of the current royal families of Sweden, Denmark, Belgium, and Norway and the Grand Ducal family of Luxembourg also descend from her. Because she did not bear Napoleon any children, he had their marriage annulled and married Marie-Louise of Austria. Josephine was the recipient of numerous love letters written by Napoleon, many of which still exist. A patron of art, Josephine worked closely with sculptors, painters and interior decorators to establish a unique consular and empire style at the Château de Malmaison. She became one of the leading collectors of different forms of art of her time, such as sculpture and painting. The Château de Malmaison was noted for its rose garden, which she supervised closely. Death. Josephine died of pneumonia in Rueil Malmaison on May 29, 1814, soon after walking with Emperor Alexander I of Russia in the gardens of Malmaison, where she allegedly begged to join Napoleon in exile. She was buried in the nearby church of Saint Pierre Saint Paul in Rueil. Her daughter Hortense is interred near her. Napoleon learned of her death via a French journal while in exile on Elba and stayed locked in his room for 2 days, refusing to see anyone. He claimed to a friend, while in exile on St. Helena, that, "I truly loved my Josephine, but I did not respect her." Despite numerous affairs, eventual marriage annulment and his remarriage, the emperor's last words on his deathbed at St. Helena were, "France, the army, the head of the army, Josephine." GomBurZa's grave at Paco Park. Detail, Napoleon crowning his wife. The divorce of the Empress Josephine in 1809 by Henri Frédéric Scopin. Napoleon's throne room at Fontainebleau. Empress Josephine in coronation costume in 1807 to 1808 by François Girard.